Yeah. Now am I audible, please? Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
Give us a moment, sir. We'll start in a couple of minutes. I'm checking with Murthy, sir. He's facing technical issues. In a minute or two, we'll join.
Probably the share button needs to be enabled.
Yes, sir. Give me a moment. I'm just giving that.
Oh.
Good morning, everyone. To welcome to 76th Saturday webinar series by National Institute of Agriculture Extension Management Center for Innovation and Agripreneurship. So we are one of the leading agribusiness incubators in India. We have supported more than 450 startups through mentoring and through various training programs. We have incubated 289 startups under our Avatar program. So we have been conducting these Saturday webinar series on various focus areas of agri startup ecosystem as well as other sectors in agriculture. Today we are having here with us three speakers. So we'll be starting with Mr. Jagdish Sunkad today. Mr. Jagdish Sunkad is well known in the agri startup ecosystem. He himself is a serial entrepreneur, mentor, and very, I would call it educator in terms of creating awareness among all the startups as well as the farmers with the aim of supporting small and marginal farmers. He has his own startup. With this, over to you, sir. We'll be discussing about emerging technologies, innovations that is revolutionizing agri startup ecosystem today. All our three speakers will be talking about sharing their experiences and what would be the future, what kind of technologies they'll be talking about, sir. Please, sir, over to you, sir. You have next 15 minutes for you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Yuvraj. Is my slides visible, please?
All good, sir. All good. Good to go.
Okay, so happy to be with Manage and its startups and ecosystems. Really like the way you connect people and you bring up aspiring agro-technologists. Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity. Here's a quick thing. Since we are going to talk of something emerging and something in the future, I just want to share a couple of thoughts before I run you through my presentation. So the first point that I like to highlight really is we're trying to solve yesterday's problems with yesterday's technology. I mean, that farmer doesn't get a price, that monsoon is unpredictable, that farmer is always at the receiving end of the market, etc. is yesterday's problems. That we can develop apps, that we can develop electronic sensors, that we can write algorithms is also yesterday's technology. So long as you're trying to solve yesterday's problems with yesterday's technology, you have an issue, boss. You're not going to go too far. What you need is tomorrow's technologies to solve today's problem. Please remember that tomorrow's technology to solve today's problems. So when I'm saying that, I also like to share Albert Einstein's quote. His birthday was just a couple of days ago, and most people were busy with the Ukraine war and Kashmir files and the UP elections. So we almost missed acknowledging a great person who imagined the future. Okay, so he's Albert Einstein. Let's for some time really indulge in imagination. We all have knowledge with us. That's why we are here today. But for some time, let's not build on knowledge, but let's build on imagination. Okay, my presentation is going to follow on the following topics. We said the innovations for Indian farming system. So I want to place on record and begin really by acknowledging something of my understanding of Indian farming systems. Well, we want to do something big. Second, inside of the so-called Indian farming system, let's acknowledge the common challenges that we all face, no matter which farming system you are in, but what is the challenge you're facing with. we are faced with. Let's touch briefly about some emerging innovations. I believe, okay, there are many things that I do not know. There could be something totally new beyond what I'm going to describe. So it's not an exhaustive list, it's an indicative list. The reality we'll all have to live with. Doesn't matter what new things are happening around in the world. A brief mention about that, and I'll conclude. Okay, questions probably we can take at the end. So when we talk of Indian farming system, we really need to acknowledge and recognize that we have 127 agroclimatic conditions. This number has been given by National Bureau of Soil and Land Use Planning, Soil Survey and Land Use Planning. Now, even within a given state, if you're in Tamil Nadu, if you're in Thoothukudi, you have a completely different from agroclimatic condition from what you have in Palakkad, which is very different from what you have, let's say, north of Chennai. Forget about across the country. Okay, like that, you look at anywhere. If you look at Karnataka, Gulbarga is completely different from, let's say, around Kaveri Delta. If you look at Maharashtra, Marathwada is completely different from the coastal belt. Okay, so there's the beauty of saying Indian farming system is really the diversity of India. India is a story of diversity. Let's remember this. Yeah. Inside of this 127 agroclimatic conditions, let's really remember what's unique to India. There are millions of small farmers, a small piece of land. They are not going to disappear from this face of earth. They're not going to go away. No matter what you work on a drone, you work on a blockchain, you work on genetics, you're going to acknowledge this. The other character of Indian farming system really is 70% is rain fed. Even those irrigated areas are monsoon dependent. So whatever solutions you develop must factor for this key character. Okay. For me, this is very important. Culturally, socially, we believe food to be sacred. And because it's sacred, we don't want to attach a high monetary value. I'll talk about this in a little time also, but please remember this is a very unique Indian thought. Not that it does not exist around the world. Mankind is the only species on earth which works for food. The rest of the animals really go out and have it because it's available in plenty. We are the only set of people who believe there is going to be shortage of food and hence work for it. Must remember this very last and important factor that I want to bring to this one. So long as there's an better alternate, it's easier to be a Ola driver or an Uber driver or a Zomato delivery boy than to work on the farms. There are more opportunities. So the Indian farming system is going to evolve and grow in this place where you can work in the BPO or software world for America and earn the same dollars here, a flat world as they call it. What kind of agriculture is going to emerge so long as we have a service-led economy where you can earn better money? You need to think of this. So we need to map the technologies inside of this. So moving on, let me just say some of the challenges I believe will remain for a long time. They were, of course, yesterday's. They are also today's more acutely. So what are the challenges we are faced with? First and simplest thing, okay, the market that we know, markets exist. Very sometimes we use loose language and easy language of market saying that's bad, that's wrong. Markets are weak. Okay, markets are unorganized. I want to use a set of other words, which is really when a farmer goes to the market, he gets punished rather than rewarded. A farmer in the market today gets punished, not rewarded. We need markets that reward farmers for bringing food there. Two, for a long time to come, still, we're going to be monsoon dependent. So any technology that we place has to factor for this dependence on monsoon. Three, our soils are getting degraded. They are tired. They have been farmed for millions of years, particularly in the last 50 years post-independence and post the arrival of chemical fertilizers. The soil degradation has been acute. We are trying to grow food for such a large population on degraded soils. This is a challenge we need to address. Next, our farmers need to upgrade to a global market. Earlier, it was to the neighboring village or within the kingdom or within a small geography. Today, we grow food for the world. This year, soybean farmers have been most happy because the world prices of soybean went up. So the prices for Indian farmers went up, and so the soya farmers earned a lot of money. In this situation, when the markets are globally connected, our farmers' capabilities and their competence needs to improve. This is a challenge. I'm not saying it's good or bad or insufficient. I'm just saying that we no longer are local markets, we're international markets, be it paddy, be it wheat. With the Ukraine war, today we are talking of exporting more wheat. So there's something we need to learn and know. We have been eroding biodiversity. Okay, it's a key challenge. There was a lot of sustainability to ecosystem because we had a diverse agroclimatic condition, a diverse genetic pool. And with more intensive agriculture, we are losing the diversity, which is a very key problem. Okay, so we need to just give me a minute, please. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So let's look at each one of them and see what are the technologies that are coming to solve these, or what I believe. Okay, it's my personal submission. I may be wrong. There may be better things that are beyond my knowledge. Please, let's all discover them. Okay, so far as I said, the first challenge was really markets for farmers. Okay, so the arrival of decentralized autonomous organizations in token economics, as we call it, is a very promising alternate to solve this problem. See, today markets are really dominated and governed or exploited by few people who have it. It could be Harshad Mehta, it could be JP Morgan, it could be Citibank, it could be whoever else. There are large companies who have access to large capital. They set markets, or even in your local APMC, it could be a big money lender who does it. But with the arrival of decentralized autonomous organization, for those of you who don't know the term, please, this is a new technology that has arrived beyond the, sorry, it's an implementation on the blockchain. Okay, so please do study it up. Decentralized autonomous organizations where knowledge as well as governance power is going to be vested with the public. See, markets really work because of rewards and punishment. Okay, now this reward and punishments need to be transparent and equitable to everybody. By thanks to the blockchain technology, we will be able to create it. Maybe some other occasion we'll go deeper into it. At this moment, let me just place it on record that I believe this is the emerging technology that will solve this challenge. Two, dependence on monsoon. We obviously are using micro irrigation, but so long as you're only giving water and not nutrition through micro irrigation, you're not even begin to scratch the surface of micro irrigation. So fertigation, as we call it, and customizing it, precision agriculture to farming, is something that's an emerging technology that will reduce our dependence on monsoon. We have not exploited the genetic resource and pool that we have, where we, the monsoon has been vagrant right through history. Of recorded history, there was never a uniform monsoon. Even if you go to the Mauryan Empire or the Ashoka Empire, you will notice that the vagrant monsoon deeply affected kingdoms. Okay, but there was always a genetic pool that was adapted to that agroclimatic zone. We are going to dip back into it. We are going to exploit it. Okay, the relevance of microbiome or the microorganisms, we are only scratching the surface of it. These microorganisms helped us survive the monsoon. How we are going to do it, again, deep subject, may not be now. We look at it. I mentioned about degraded soils. Okay, it's a serious problem. You can save us from many things. You can even, food shortage will make prices go up and people will pay for the food. But so long as you have a degraded soil, you're never going to produce good agriculture. Okay, for which really it's soil carbon is the key thing. See, plants actually take carbon from carbon dioxide in the air. Okay, that does not mean we should ignore the requirement of carbon in the soil. That is not meant for the plants, but that's meant for the microbes that live in the soil. Carbon in the soil is great magic. Few people have understood it. We have not yet built a business model around it. Earlier, we had, not out of awareness, but out of whatever thing, we had a whole lot of cattle whose dung we used to take and put it into the soil, and hence soil carbon was always replenished. The beauty of it was our cattle had enough forest area where they would graze and come, and hence cause a nutrition cycle. Today, nobody wants to have a cow because it's easier to buy a liter of milk for the family from the packet rather than to go out and maintain a cow. So unless we have a mechanism to put soil carbon back, we are not going to have agriculture. Okay. That microbiome that helps plant nutrition, we need to revisit that, because just carbon in the soil is not going to do any difference. We really need plant nutrition that goes to that agroclimatic zone, to that genome for that intended output. He's my favorite, and he is the most promising if you ask me of all these things. Okay, how do we address the? I said it's a globalized market, and our farmers need to connect to that. And I see fintech revolutions being the great way of connecting people. I mean, who would have imagined that I can pay 1 million farmers at the click of a button? Today, I can do it. The Aadhaar-based payment system is a unique creation of India, and it's so uniquely created that it's democratic, available to everybody. It's not the property of one Apple or one Google or any one corporation. It's a great thing which is building, which will be built and leveraged by many small people, because those who can see, it's not about giving money, it's about building a relationship of trust where I give credit to farmers and hence he behaves in a manner of integrity as a partner of ecosystem. I believe the seeds of this are in fintech. Uh, about the absence of biodiversity, whether we like it or not, for the sake of nutrition, for the sake of sustainability, we are going to dip into biotech sciences, what they call as metabolomics, okay, which is a combination of understanding plant genome and what we call as proteomics. Plants produce protein. Ultimately, proteins are the signal mechanism within a living organism. So understanding this lock and key mechanism, okay, will help you survive and produce in all kinds of adverse climatic conditions. Now, we know there is a lot of fear talk about CRISPR technology, where we can edit genes and create proteins, with allied technologies. But I think fear will have to rest and we will need to develop those sciences. Okay. I believe this is the emerging technology. Okay. Having given my list, and I'm sure my co-speakers and others will also have their list, and some of you as audience will have your list. Let's acknowledge some reality. Okay. Paul Graham had put up this graph. Okay. Look at it. All innovations are going to just peak out saying, oh, it's great, it's going to happen, and whatever else. And suddenly, when the reality hits us, it's going to sink and say, oh God, I wasted my life, I wasted time, this technology is not working, people are stupid, farmers are ignorant, etc., etc. But only after you found a product market fit, that you have developed, you have honed the technology. It's literally like finding iron didn't solve the problem of mankind. When you're able to beat iron into a sickle or into a hammer, was it useful? You're able to make a product that is useful, only then the economic happens. It's a lot of painful journey in this. So don't be fascinated just by emerging technologies. You need to develop products for which people are willing to pay, solve problems of the common farmer. Okay, this is a reality. You'll have to go through it. Now, is this tough very long? Is it going to be short? I don't know. Time is going to tell you. Okay. This is another graph that I want to invite all of these aspiring entrepreneurs to remember and whatever else. Look, we as innovators and startup people are really excited about new things, but that's only for a small set of innovators. When you look at the market, there's a whole spectrum of kind of people. There are laggards who are never going to use your technology no matter how good it is. There's going to be a huge set of population in the market out there who are late majority people, who are going to, after everybody is used, they will adopt to it. It could be on an Apple iPhone. Only later in the life when it's affordable, when the discount price and all the offers are offered, they will buy it. Okay, there's an early majority who are going to wait and watch. But please remember this, Geoffrey Moore's great book, and important for you to remember, the chasm. You need to cross it. All technologies go through it. So be prepared for that. This is the place where best of the technologies will create disillusionment and will create frustration for you. Okay. So last, I want to leave you with this thought, please. Okay. Science, we like to believe, is about ultimate truth. I'm sorry, it's not. Okay. When you can imagine, you'll realize that it's a whole set of experimentation. So when we're talking of emerging technologies to touch the lives of Indian farmers, please remember that we're going to be doing a lot of experiments. Some are going to succeed, others are going to be lessons for you to succeed. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Happy to take questions at the end of the event, please.
Thank you, sir. That was kind of deep and thought-provoking. Some of the terms are, of course, new for us. We come back with questions on that. So, however, as you also mentioned, we cannot predict always what technology would wrap up. However, it gives a food for thought for everybody. With this, we thank Jagdish sir and move to our next speaker. Murthy sir, you are there. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, thank you. So we welcome the PBGK Murthy sir for our next speaker. Sir has experience across multiple verticals. He himself comes from agriculture background. He worked in ITC and other conglomerates, and he himself runs a agri consulting firm which guides and helps startups in marketing, research in multiple areas. One good thing is SAR is in this ecosystem is day in day out. He is a part of evaluating multiple startups and identifying and telling them about how to go about it. So with this, we welcome Sir Murthy sir, please.
Yeah, very nice meeting you all, and good morning. We are talking about agricultural innovations and technologies that has influenced in a great way. If you look at the great innovation, why should we call some XYZ intervention as great innovation? If you look at the operational convenience, or if there is a time compression, there is a great value that has been added in terms of process, or there is a great value added in terms of realization, in terms of return. That is one thing when we say there is a great innovation which has added significant value to the system. If you look at agriculture as a what you call as an occupation or as a culture, it has very, very limited income generating capability. For example, if you look at the very nature of the agriculture sector, if I buy 1 acre of land at the age of 40, 45, it would be difficult for me to get back the return on investment. The gestation period is so long that I cannot really get, I cannot get it really repaid. It's very, very long. So what is the innovation we are talking about? Okay, there is emergence of IoT, there is emergence of blockchain, and there is emergence of Internet of Things, then IT related things, teleconnectivity, internet connectivity, 4G plus 5G. This is all good. This is all good in terms of reaching out to the farmers. On the other side, we are talking about the set of what you call facilities, or the set of tools that have been designed to communicate or to transmit data or to receive data or to transmit the pieces of data on a continuous or intermittent basis based on the need. On the other side, we are talking about ease of operations in agriculture. When we say that, the ease can be at farm level, ease can be at market level, ease can be at value addition level or export level, right? For example, if we talk about drones is a significant development, but how the drones can really add value? Are they really going to add value in terms of relieving people from manual drudgery? That remains to be seen. Or it can create a havoc in terms of air traffic congestion, or is it really posing any safety issue? All these things need to be seen. There remains to be seen as of now. Okay, then reaching out to farmers in terms of data through apps and IoT related things, that is the greatest intervention which has been shown significant result in the recent area. So people are getting connected through apps. Transmission of information is easy, the apps which are basically farming as service area mein jo businesses hai, they are like very, very reachable in the sense that extension is not a problem now. Even if you don't have an extension officer who is there in your village, getting an extension support is 100% solved. If you have a smart phone and an app, you can subscribe to 1,000 people who are providing farming services or for extension support. It is only matter of you having a mobile phone and having conscious having taken a conscious decision about it. But when it comes to market connectivity and realizing prices, price data is available, but how do you influence or how do you push up the prices at the market point is the question that remains to be answered. Okay, if you ask me, the innovation related to farming at agronomy phase. You have soil sensors, they can tell you how much nitrogen is there, how much phosphorus is there, how much potash is there, micronutrients are there. This is all fine. And there are sensors which are telling us, the moisture content in the soil, how much is available to the plant, how do we conserve the moisture. That is also good. So this is at the agronomy level. And at another phase, people are talking about disease occurrence and disease cure. Right. And at some level, people are talking about providing harvesting services or intercultural operations as farming as service, harvesting, then, drying and sale. The fourth phase is at the marketing level. People have started private agri marketing exchanges, right? So end of the day, if I were a farmer, looks like all these services at various phases are available for me. But the catch is that I need to run to 3 or 4 shops to buy agri inputs. Like, I need to go to DHAT, or I need to go to various input apps. Okay. But can there be a centralized, farming as service provider? There are certain companies like DHAT and all, they are aspiring to do that. But agriculture, as Mr. Jagdish said earlier, we are dealing with n number of agroclimatic zones. We are dealing with n number of different scenarios. So how do you basically stitch the product to suit the local conditions of various geographies? That becomes the question. Okay, the crops are different, climatic conditions are different, and then market requirements are different, extension needs are different, and the kind of value generated with agri and horticultural crops are different. Whenever I see any high-tech intervention in agriculture, people say that yes, this has been very, very successful in Nasik, in the grape growing zone. Nasik is good. Nasik is doing very good in terms of grape growing. And the good news is that, now grape growers started dictating their own price, like any manufacturer of, goods or anything like that, products. Like if I manufacture a pen, I'll determine the price. Like that, grape growers started determining their own prices for their grapes in some patches. That is good. But can a rice farmer doing same, rice farming in Tamil Nadu or Andhra or Telangana do that? That's the question mark. So when we are talking, or when we are understanding farming as a composite activity, which has been an interplay of various factors like government regulation, existing resource base, and also the operations. End of the day, we are talking about something, a sector which is contributing 15% approximately to the overall GDP. With all your 12 plus crore land holdings, and we talk about 50% of the people depending on agriculture, the value generation is very, very low in agriculture. I'm very sure nowadays we don't have the proper data. Most of the people who are dependent on agriculture are not sole dependents on agriculture. They are partial dependents on agriculture. Either they might be working somewhere else, or they might be surviving on some of the welfare schemes that are provided by the either state government or central government. Recently, the another injection into the system is that Pradhan Mantri Kisan facilitation, like 6,000 or 8,000 rupees per acre kind of stuff. That is also adding a benefit to the farming system, right? Then what is the innovation we are talking about? My idea is to not to sound negative, but the innovation still lies when something crops up, as a holistic provider of information, service, and a handler of, post-harvest produce. Agriculture is something, if you are basically enhancing the prices of rice or wheat, that is going to make a very big impact on the food prices, which people cannot afford. We know the classic case of, onion price rise every year, and there will be a big time debate in the parliament. Right. So keeping this thing in mind, we have to balance the growth of agriculture and also the intervention of technology, and also to balance the prices of the food material in the country. End of the day, our farming system should work to feed the billions of people who are there in the country, right? So keeping this in view, the interventions that are coming up, like, one set of interventions, the aim is to enhance the premium value of the crops, like, enhancing the marketability of the crops. You say any interventions that has been taken up in commercial crops like chilies or grapes or spices, this is enhancing the market value and exportability. The other side of the picture, we are talking about enhancing the production, right? In the whole set of in the chase of interventions, we are forgetting the fundamental agricultural technologies that are, the strength of genetics, the strength of agronomic practices, right? These two are the fundamental things, and classic, fundamental, and age-old practices that can add real good value in terms of innovation also, right? If we are strong in these two things, today payment system is there in every sector. It will become a norm in agriculture very, very soon. Every farmer will be linked to his bank account based on Aadhaar or whatever. So these things are just matter of time. I'm just thinking about a system which can give a holistic service to the farmer. We are talking about algorithms, we are talking about crop quality. If you look at the companies like Agnex, they are talking about quality enhancement and, soil moisture testing and soil fertility testing and all those stuff. Can we bundle all these products into a single entity and offer to the farmer? And the one area which has not been touched upon is the land lease till now. Land lease has still, it has been still operating in a private domain. It is one-to-one contract, right? There is, tomorrow a website might come like 99 acres kind of stuff, wherein you can have all the lands that are available for farming on lease. And we are not, as Mr. Jagdish said earlier, land is the limitation. We cannot increase the land area that is available for agriculture. Keeping this urban agriculture, which has been evolving, is one of the interventions, but this has been an exclusive area which has to do with the hobbyists rather than the serious agriculturist. Any serious agriculturist should really spend a lot of money on technology and also on the infrastructure, but finding out the right market for the produce that has been coming out of that particular system will be a challenge then. Okay, so what is the solution? Solution is something which basically facilitates the farmers with all the existing facilities in a single window, and also connecting to the markets which are offering the right price, right? So it is just, just by feeding the pieces of data to the farmer may not really help. I may tomorrow when I wake up, I can have market information of 10 different markets. But does that really push up my commodity price, my 2 metric tons of commodity, which is my personal output, my farm's output? That still remains a question mark. Okay, what is the potential that any farm has in the first place? Any farm has an agronomic potential depending on the agroclimatic zone. We should also, my concept is that we should also rationalize what is the maximum value possible that can be generated out of each of the farms, depending on the agroclimatic zones and other resources like water, soil fertility, and the package of practices that can be adopted and all those stuff. The mapping of Indian agriculture scenario is the biggest challenge, and we don't have the right and correct data. Let me be very frank with you. The estimates are not correct at any given point of time when it comes to agriculture. They look like correct, but there has always been an anomaly historically. If we can do this, Nothing like it. How you can really plug the loopholes in agriculture? The insurance sector. The insurance sector should really evolve in India. Maybe we require some kind of structural and functional reforms at the agri insurance sector to make farming more remunerative and more attractive to the people. Till the time the output remains a question mark, the risks are not addressed, it will not remain attractive to the people. Okay. Okay. Coming back to innovations, yes, we are compressing time by connecting to the buyers. We are compressing time by connecting to the scientists through apps, various apps. And the holistic services, what we are talking about. End of the day, there should be only one holistic service which would charge the farmers on either on output basis or on input basis or on commission basis. Now, the challenge is, even though there are solutions given at each of the levels in farming, right from agronomy, then purchase of agri inputs, then custom hiring, farmer is kind of, he's paying at multiple stages to multiple vendors or multiple service providers to get various services. Can we integrate and operate as a holistic service provider? This remains a challenge in agriculture. So the drone technology is one promising thing, provided we get the right spraying material, right spraying liquids, or dusting material. And we are talking about photographs. Photographs are good, but keeping the purview of Indian farms, which are very, very small, if there is a manual supervision, that itself is enough. This is my personal feeling. We can use technology wherever it is required. Technology should be used in order to enhance the production and quality. Technology can be used to link the farmers to the market, right? So it would be useful if we can get more qualitative crop to attract exporters, or to attract the foreign customers, to enhance our overall value of Indian agricultural produce. Okay, and all said and done, most of the times the good crop goes as export and the mediocre crop remains in India, and people like you and me are consuming that. Can we look into a scenario where you and me are also eating good food, premium food, as qualitative or as good as the export grade? This we have to really look into. So these are some of my viewpoints. Any questions? You are most welcome. I'm ready to answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Coming with a couple of innovative suggestions so that how they can progress the areas where they need to focus on. So with this, we'll move to our next speaker for today. So Padmara sir, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. We welcome our next speaker for today, Mr. Padmaraj Shetty. He is a co-founder of a progressive startup, Phala Tech Limited. Padmaraj sir comes to the tech background with a major part of the last decade spending in Germany at various capacities. So he came back for good and he started his own startup in agri-tech. So with this, we welcome you, sir, please.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. Well, having listened to Mr. Sumkat and Mr. Murthy, I have to trim down some of my thought points, and I'm just trying to align with respect to 4 dimensions. So I'll tell about myself. I come from a physics and engineering background, and I have entered into the agrarian aspect, trying to solve some of these problems in a very different approach. So for that, we have built a company called as Phala Tech Private Limited, wherein we believe food should not be treated as an industry or a commodity. That's because, even if you look at the history of India or across, food was never traded as a commodity. And what we believe is, and I'll tell you why it's a problem, because the moment you start treating food as a commodity, the question for the producer or the incentive given to the producer is never about the nutrition value. It's never about it's never about the taste and texture. It's always about the weight. More the weight, more the money. As simple as that. So what does the implication of that? The implication of that is India has went back, being an agrarian nation, we are an agriculture producing nation and agrarian nation. We are standing at 109th rank out of 121 countries that are ranked in the nutritional aspect. So now imagine a agrarian nation, a food producing nation is hungry and malnourished. If let's say if the Gulf nation is malnourished, we understand it's a desert. They don't get to grow food or fruits and eat about that. If the Nordic countries, if they have food problem, we understand they may not get enough because it's a lot of snow is there and they can't get enough vegetation out there. So how come India is a problem? So think about it. This is one of the thought process we have. So coming to from this part, I'd like to talk about three things. One is an agrarian aspect, because having listened to Mr. Murthy and Mr. Sunkar, there are three things which I'd like to touch upon, having trimmed my presentation. So first is an agriculture sector in general, just a history of agriculture sector, and second is the tech aspect of that. And finally, the third thing is the market. How do you conceive your product in the market and make sure that it is growing in a sustainable way, all of that patterns, and what are theories behind that. To start with agriculture sector, a small story. I was going through, having studied in Germany, there is a concept of Industry 4.0, wherein they talk about the evolution of industry, because Germans are one of the pioneers in industry. So, but when it comes to agrarian industry, India should be the pioneer in reality. So if you look at that and the historical aspect, actually agriculture industry is the first industries to start using the technology. Millions of years ago, when there was nothing out there, the first thing that was invented was a rock and a stick. It appears very simple, like a tool now, but at that time it was a very sophisticated technology. Imagine there is a stick which can pluck your mango. Imagine there's a tool that can cut open your gourds, something like that, of fruit. This was actually the pioneer industry who started using technology when the humankind first started utilizing technology in the form of tools, which we call them now. But that was a pioneer. But then something happened, agriculture industry was left behind because everybody was getting their own food and things get messed up because we started interested in many other things. Because as Jagdish said, the food was one thing which every animal out there work, but humans are the one thing which doesn't really work for the food, but rest of the luxuries out there. Majority I'm talking about. So that was the first aspect of agriculture. Second thing is when it comes to tech aspect. So majorly in this modern segment, we can classify agri segment into two types of technologies. One is the engineering aspect of that, wherein you can call the hardware and the software aspects of the tool what you're building. And second thing is the bio aspect, wherein it's a biotechnology, organic manure, agrarian science, and all of that aspect of that. So fundamentally, what we're trying to do is we are trying to build the technology in such a way that it provides a solution which is not just an immediate. For example, when this nutrition in the form of a chemical came to India, it gave a concept of that revolution came into picture in India, wherein we previously had a lot of famines out there and people had no food. But when the chemical fertilizers came, fertilizers and the nutrition, all of them came into picture, we have started getting enough food. But at what cost? At the cost of a future, wherein our soil is being degraded. The microbial activity is getting downer and downer. Some people, the UNESCO is saying that 40% of agrarian land in India by 2030 would be dead. That means it is like a desertification, artificial. So that is one part. How do we tackle up technology through understanding in a long-term aspect? So whatever you think of technology, make sure that it is sustainable in a long term, understand the values, that what it is going to imply and how it's going to solve about that. The second part is the bio aspect, of course. How do you re-nourish the bio? One of the main reasons why natural fertilizers like Vermi and Jivamruta has been stopped used by Indian farmers is because of the kind of intense activity involved around that. Whereas a chemical fertilizer is quite easy. All you have to do is just spray it once a while. So how do you make sure that the psychological aspect of using bioscience has been included in this part? So that's about the tech part of it. And finally, third thing which I'd like to talk about is the marketing. Again, in this marketing aspect, first thing is we'll classify it into three segments. If you look at the 90s and to the early 2000s, there was a person called marketing guru called Philip Kotler. He was known as a marketing guru. Everybody, IBM, Infosys, to Tata's and Reliance, everybody was listening to him and understanding him. He had 4 theories called product, price, placement, and promotion, the 4 P's of marketing. And he kind of pioneered the companies in that dimension so that they thrived very well under this concept. Then when it was going good, the revolution of internet came into picture, wherein the price and the place was not a fundamental factor because there was no logistics and there were no overheads involved, neither because internet is easily penetrable out there. So it was not specific to a price or a place. So the concept of Google came into picture where they started saying that, hey, and even the Apple in that spectrum, he said like, hey, out of all the 4 P's, product is the most important thing. Everything else is secondary. You just build the finest product, everybody will come to you. You don't have to worry about anything else apart. Then slowly that was working for next 5 to 10 years. Then Amazon came with the disruptions. He said that, hey, product is not the only thing, but consumer is the center of everything. So consumer-centric values, consumer-centric innovations, consumer-centric technology, everything was centered towards consumers. And that is still lasting nowadays. From last almost 2015 onwards, this trend picked up very well. And everybody, if you just go around there, he'll talk about, hey, consumer is the center of my company and everything I do is for the consumer. But if you look at the slight evolution out there nowadays, people are talking of the environment. Hey, it is not just about the consumer, but you have to build a product in such a way that it is good for the industry, good for the consumer, good for the company, good for the suppliers, investors, and most importantly, the environment. Think about it, because whatever we do has to benefit. You have to factor in that. We cannot just go about previous companies, like say for 2 decades ago, environment was not a major factor. Economy, because lifting people out of poverty was a major thing. Now, having done that, environmental aspects, if you look at the Paris Agreement, if you look at everybody, like the amount of solar utilizations out there, the electric car revolution out there. So that is the future. So think of sustainability, think of environment whenever we are including any innovations or any tech or any solutions to the consumer part of it. Because at the end of the day, we have to leave this planet a better place than what we are now. Right? So that's about from my side. So if you have something, I'll be happy to answer your questions. I hope it was meaningful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So we'll be probably starting the same order for the questions. So, sir, can you please, Jagdish sir, can you please give a kind of one example on tokenization or a DAOs you were talking about, so that it will be easy for us to understand our attendees here today.
Thank you so much, Yuvraj. So, tokens are actually very simple. We have had this system for a very long time. Physical tokens, for example, I collect milk from a neighborhood shop. Okay, and every morning I have to carry 42 rupees as change for that. Okay, instead of that, he's developed a system where he's printed a small coupon. 1 month's requirement, I give him money in advance. He give me a coupon booklet. Every day I will use 1 coupon. The day I don't need milk, I will not have given him that coupon. Okay, it's as simple as that. But this cannot be a scaled model. It will work in a very localized environment only, because that token will not have somebody living in the opposite end of Bangalore. And that token is meant only for milk. Okay. Whereas with the development of blockchain, today I can use a token, I can create a token with what we call as the problem of double spend. I cannot cheat. I cannot make a copy of the token, though it is digital. It can be used only once by one person, and that usage is tracked. So the way we payment systems will change because of that. Okay, there are various things. If you need to know more about token economics and whatever, you'll have to read a little deeper about the way blockchain has been emerging in the last 2 years of Corona. Blockchain science itself came in 2008, and we are in 2022. So it's many, many years, and there's been lots of developments. Okay, now there's a whole lot of issues of what we need to understand in terms of economics. Why I create tokens, how I create tokens, how many tokens I create, and what can it be exchanged with. This is all the subject of what we now call as token economics. Okay, it need not be only monetary value that you exchange. For example, I was talking of this DAO, decentralized autonomous organizations. Now, typically what we have had a situation where if it's an organization, I am the boss and I will run and I will tell, my voice has to be listened by everybody. leadership mattered a lot. Okay, but in a DAO, as we call it, decentralized autonomous organization, we have created a virtual community where everybody has a voice and a vote, which is on blockchain, obviously. So no cheating, no double voting, okay, and no influencing others. Okay, everybody's voice is heard, and everybody is a part of the governance mechanism of the way decisions are taken. Okay, these are possible to create, and these are deep subjects, will take a long time. I have made an attempt to answer in few sentences, but lots of experiments, lots of development has happened where we'll have really live beyond these people trying to exploit the haves, trying to exploit have-nots. Through history, those who have knowledge have exploited those who don't have knowledge. Those who have money have exploited those who don't have money. This will stop with the development of these technologies. Okay, some other occasion we'll go through details. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for explaining in a simple way. However, it's a deep subject, as you mentioned already. Thank you. So we'll move to the Murthy, sir. Murthy, sir, you were talking about bundle of the products, which it's more like a collective bargain. So can you please elaborate on that, sir, please?
See, when we talk about bundle of product, today somebody is specializing in harvesting, in the sense you have custom hiring for harvesting or transplanting or agricultural operations, and somebody else is giving agri inputs. Somebody else is buying. Okay. Is there any, for example, today imagine agriculture in comparison with the poultry. Poultry operates in a contract farming scenario wherein the farmer is just a caretaker of the poultry birds. He need not worry about anything. He need not worry about the risk part of the sale. He need not worry about the procurement of inputs. He need not worry about the health checkups or vaccination of the birds. Everything goes by organized system. He's like a hostel warden. He's just a caretaker. So end of the day, he basically makes some good money. Can we make agriculture in that particular model, wherein the farmer is just a caretaker? He need not be a risk taker. Can there be any shift between between these two? From risk taker to caretaker, so that somebody or some technology or some institutional mechanism can nullify the risk for the farmer by organizing the whole operations under a single window.
Thank you very much, sir, for addressing that. I would request any of the participants who would like to ask a request to raise your hand before we move to that. So one more thing, sir, we'll move to the Shetty sir for a question. Sir, so you can probably elaborate on your startup, what specific problem you are addressing as a startup, and how do you see it as how the kind of progress we can make by addressing using these technologies, sir? Please.
Hi. So basically, my company name is Falatech Private Limited. Here, what we are building is we believe in decentralized and autonomous and personalized farming units. Fundamentally, one of the main reasons why the nourishment lag in India or the consumers is farming industry is probably one industry where in India where both are exploited. The producer is exploited and the consumer is exploited to a large degree. The consumers are not getting the right quality of the vegetables because food quality in India is one of the lowest. And second thing is even the farmers are struggling out there, even though India has a larger sector. So what we found is the problem fundamentally it's a supply chain problem in the middle. So now we apply the engineering concepts to this. How can we cut through the supply chain and build a decentralized farming system so that the farm to fork concept, as we talk about, that has to be the nearest, that has to be least time consuming or energy consuming. When we say supply chain is a problem, we are telling that when the perishable vegetables enter the supply chain, what happens? They increase the cost. Okay, approximately a 3 rupees kilo cabbage, approximately, which a farmer is selling, ends up to your household at approximately 30 rupees a kilo. On the second hand, the nourishment value when the farmer has harvested, let's say if it is about 95%, the moment it reaches your house is about 65%. So what's happening is the nourishment is going down because of the time and the unhygienic or unhealthy supply chain practices, and the cost is shooting up 9x. So at Phala, what we do is we reverse this process. We build tiny decentralized units, and that is autonomously managed in a personalized way. That means it will grow vegetables of consumers' choice at their place. By that definition, there is absolutely no supply chain. The farm itself is in the locality of compounds of the consumer in a tiny format. So whatever the consumer needs, all you have to do is just go and plug, just like the refrigerator what they use, just open the door and plug the harvest what they want to have. So that's about Phala.
Thank you, sir. So now we'll be giving opportunity for the attendees to talk. Kindly state your name and state which speaker you want to talk to. We'll be starting with Mr. Mithilesh from AgriQuake Farmer Producer Company. Ajinath, can you please unmute Mr. Mithilesh?
Thank you very much, sir, for unmuting. Sir, my question is this,
Hello.
Murthy, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Murthy, sir, there is whatever thing you talk,
Yes.
it was
Can you call me
it
back
was
in half an hour's
really
time, please? I'm in a meeting.
we are facing at present in
Yeah,
market.
please. Okay.
Okay.
I want to some like solution is there for like price establishment, getting a good prices for the farmers, giving a genuine product to the consumer. Can we create some, like I have a farmer producer company where around 800 member at present we have, and we have plenty of vegetables, we have grains, but we don't have market. We have access to the local market, we have access some government settled market, but prices is we can't tell prices is on the hand of that buyer who is just cheat. The mentality is just to cheat farmers. It is like that what we face today.
See, the idea is if you can reach out to specific buyer through contract farming, because you have 800 farmers in your fold, is there any scope that you can attract the contract farming system into your geography? That is point number one.
Yes, sir.
Second thing is, can you have a pre-agreed price? So, having pre-agreed price these days is very, very difficult because it goes with the market price on that particular day. But even then, if your produce or product is different from that of what is available in the market, you can still demand for a better price, in the sense that the quality of your produce should be much better than the existing quality of the same produce in the market. That way, can you brand it and can you take it forward for a higher value realization? Third aspect is, if you want to really have the real-time bargaining power, you should build more number of farmers. If there are 800 farmers, how much is the acreage that is available in the FPO?
It is less, sir. Like farmer is 1 bigha, 2 bigha, it is like that. It is less than 0.2 hectare.
So it is something like approximate 800 acres?
Yeah, it is around.
So 800 acres is like, it's a good chunk, provided you have a crop that is having market demand. If you don't have, if you are growing something like soybean, then it becomes a generic commodity. So can you go with a particular crop that has the real market demand, and can you go for a variety that is having market demand? That is how you slowly build the market. That is how you slowly build the volume. And more than anything, for 800 farmers, small farmers, you need more of a financial support to enhance their wherewithal in terms of standing in the market. See, end of the day, what happens? I cannot stand till the prices go up. I have to sell the produce within 1 week of time after harvest. That is where the real issue is cropping up. Can you tag on with any financial company to take some commodity interest or some kind of commodity loan for these kind of farmers, so that you can sell the commodity at a higher price when the price goes up, and really realize the potential of the commodity pricing mechanism? This is how you should look at it.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. Did I answer your question or?
Somewhat, sir. Actually, my confusion is that can we fix it?
Sorry to
Credit farming
interrupt.
fix?
Sorry to interrupt, Mithilesh. So let's do
Yes,
one thing. We'll share the mail ID of the Murthy sir. You can because it's a longer discussion. It cannot be immediately addressed.
yes,
We
sir.
have already shared
Okay,
in the
okay.
chat. We'll go to the next moment. We'll go to the next question. We'll go to Shruti. Yes, Shruti. Yes, Shruti, you can ask.
Can you
Yes, we
can you
can
hear
hear
me,
you
sir?
now. Yes, we can hear you now, Shruti, please.
Yes, sir. This was very informative session. First, I have two questions to Jagdish, sir. First is, sir, how we can use blockchain in our milk production and milk processing project. We are starting in next month. We are starting with 50 buffaloes, and we are also starting with A2 milk. So we are looking for a blockchain, how we can enhance the supply chain market. And second, my question is to the ones Mr. Padmaj, that we are also having hydroponic systems, and we do at our clients area, means we also do these things, but we want to take some guidance that how we can enhance that means market and also the valuation system. Thank you. I hope I have
Yeah.
told my question very
Yeah.
okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Shruti. That was clear, crisp, and sharp. Okay. So quickly, a word of caution to those people who are interested in blockchain. You know, blockchain is really like a bulldozer. Okay. When I say bulldozer, it's really you should use it when you have a big, mighty challenge, a big organization. When you're small, you don't need blockchain. Okay. But you need the value created by blockchain, or you need the principles of blockchain, which is earning the trust. You know, the word trustless is often more written in Google and YouTube literature. Let's not get into that right now. Okay. Blockchain enables you to maintain integrity. You know, it doesn't make trust subjective, it makes trust objective. Anybody can be trusted because of data available on a blockchain. So while it's not appropriate and it's not easy, it's not affordable to use blockchain when you're a startup. You know, when you build it to a scale, which is basically what happens today in the sector that you mentioned of liquid milk, of dairying activity, it's really a small farmer-led activity. You have lots of women having this one. It's a activity with very low margin. What you're trying to sell that milk by saying A2 milk, etc., frankly, is a tricky thing because, you know, like I said, customers really are not willing to pay. It's very difficult. You know, so when you are at startup, you can put a simple Excel sheet in use to make sure that you have laid the foundation of using blockchain. But when you cross a certain turnover, when you have a certain number of customers, and when you have a certain set of farmers, you know, where they're large enough number to make sure that Excel sheet is not sufficient to build trust, then resort to blockchain. Okay, it's an emerging science. It's a very powerful tool. Today, expensive. Okay, and not enough people know how to use this tool. Like if you had to use a bulldozer, you need a trained, skilled person. Many times a pickaxe will do. Okay, I hope I've answered the question. Do connect up later. I will give a more general explanation to this. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Shruti.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, hi Shruti. Coming to this part, like you asked me that, can you please repeat the question? You said market and value.
Yes, sir. Actually, we are into hydroponic system. We customize the hydroponic NFT system, and we are also into organic terrace garden. So I heard that you are also in same field. So can we have your guidance to our startup, and we want to increase our number of clients also, but we need some mentoring for that.
Well, okay. Yeah, it's a kind of long question. First of all, yeah, we can talk about it. Maybe you can write me a mail, then maybe I can take it offline.
Sure.
Because how to do it and all of this, we can talk. We can take
Yes,
it off the thread. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. We just shared the mail IDs of all these speakers. Due to the paucity of time, we could not take further questions. We would like to thank all three speakers here today, Jagdish sir, Murthy sir, and Mr. Padmanabh, for addressing multiple issues and identifying areas where you can focus on and telling the technologies which can make for the future. So I hope you have fulfilled the objective of all the attendees here today. Would like to thank our Director General Manager, Director Agriculture Extension, Sharan Raj, all entire team. Last but not least, all our attendees being here today. Thank you very much. We look forward to your presence in the upcoming webinar at the same time as next Saturday at 11 a.m. The 77th webinar. Thank you. Take care and have a great day.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Yuvraj. Good day.
Thank you, Yuvraj. Thank you, everyone. Good day.
Thank you.